Hunter is Zuko, and Darius is his Uncle Iroh. Yeah, I know, that's a bold claim, but the Owl House fandom, ever since Hunter has been introduced to the show, has been drawing comparisons between him and Zuko. He's a sad boy character who clearly isn't as bad as he seems, and seems to be getting set up for a redemption arc. Like, he's not exactly Zuko in terms of his dynamic, but he doesn't need to be to evoke that character, since Zuko is so well known. Trying to retread exactly the same ground just wouldn't work. In fact, while I definitely feel like it was intended to be a big surprise when Zuko joined Team Avatar, at least to the kids watching, I don't think we were ever supposed to think that Hunter was really the villain. I don't even think the kids were ever expected to think that. He's also very similar to Zuko in terms of just his whole situation. He's almost like a fusion of Zuko and his sister Azula, being someone who is kept close to the evil emperor rather than someone who was sent out into the world by them. Sort of Azula's situation, but Zuko's personality and path. He's not exactly a prince, but he's prince-like, and he's even lost his powers and now is having to start to get them back, just like Zuko did very briefly before he learned a new version of firebending. And it's not confirmed yet, at least as far as I remember, but it's definitely theorized by the fandom that the likely reason for his ear scar is his father figure emperor, which is analogous to Zuko's scar being caused by his father, the Fire Lord. And now I don't know for sure that the character of Hunter was created with Zuko in mind, but it wouldn't surprise me. Avatar: The Last Airbender is such part of the popular consciousness that it's hard to interact with a kids show without thinking about it. And if that's true from the viewer's side, I would imagine it has to be true from the writer's side too. So Hunter is Zuko. Not literally, but close enough. But what could possibly make me think that Darius is going to be his mentor figure, who slowly over time helps him to understand the world better and change and better himself as a person? Darius, of all people, that pretentious douchebag who seems so deep in the Emperor's pockets that it seems like a miracle that he can even get enough air. Well, it's specifically the very last scene of the most recent Owl House episode, them's the Breaks Kid, where we see what is clearly meant to be one of Darius's abominations coming out of his secret passageway and delivering rebellion info to Rain, who this entire time has not been under the Emperor's sway like they had led everyone to believe. And it seems that Darius knows this, that he knows that they are still part of a rebellion, and is actively helping with that on some level. To go back to the Avatar: The Last Airbender analogy, Iroh is someone who remained part of the Fire Lord's army for a very long time. It's just that he used that to follow Zuko around and help turn him, rather than remaining close to his brother the Fire Lord and changing things from there. In the end, though, what Iroh really did, and this is going to sound more nefarious than it was in context, what he really did is he groomed Zuko to be a better ruler than his father. So when I say that Darius is going to be Hunter's Iroh, what I really mean is that he's going to be the one who prepares Hunter to take power from his father figure, Emperor Bellos, and be a better leader than Bellos ever was. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised if these Avatar references are intentional, if we don't see a scene at the end of the show where our other heroes actually stand with Hunter as he looks out on the people who he has now taken responsibility for, and where he vows to be a just king, or whatever. Just like when we saw the Avatar standing with Zuko at his coronation. So, if Darius is the Iroh of this story, rather than going out there with the quote-unquote prince and helping to change him by exposing him directly to the world, he's someone who stays behind and works from behind the scenes, trying to undermine the Emperor, while still trying to expose that quote-unquote prince to the outside world so that they understand things better and grow. And that's something that Darius literally just did in Any Sport in a Storm. Because while it is still kind of up in the air, it's possible that Darius is like playing Rhaen or something. So it's not 100% that he's a good guy yet. If he is, the fact that he seems to be a rebel, does put his words to Hunter at the end of Any Sport in a Storm in an entirely new context. The specific quote being here on the screen right now. I'm going to read it to you guys too. This is just taken from the Owl House wiki. This is the quote that they have on his character page now. You befriended them? And you disobeyed me to protect them? I'm impressed. I had you all wrong. You're what, 16? It's about time you made connections outside the castle. With the people, the common people, outside the castle. And he doesn't say like outside of the Emperor's Coven. He says outside of the castle. That specifically means, for lack of a better term, the little people. The average, everyday commoner. The people that a just ruler is supposed to care about, but that Bellows just clearly doesn't. And Darius, being this posh, reclusive person who you would think looks down on people like that, why would he care about something like that? Unless that's just a facade. Unless he does have connections himself amongst the so-called little people that he just doesn't draw attention to. Like, if he is actually secretly an enemy of the Emperor, you could understand why he wouldn't want to draw attention to the people he really cares about, right? Why he might even put up a front that makes it seem like there isn't anybody like that in the first place. Like, this quote here, when he says this to Hunter, the tone that he uses makes him come off kind of like Tara did when she was talking to Ida and Rhaen in the flashback section of Them's the Breaks Kid. Like, he was impressed that Hunter was conniving enough to stand up to him and try to manipulate him in that limited way. Even mentioning the fact that Hunter is hiding his talisman from his uncle suggests that maybe what Darius is interested in fostering here is like a political connivingness of some kind. But that abomination that shows up to give information to Rhaen puts this in a different context. It makes it seem like literally everything he's saying here is literal. He had Hunter wrong, i.e. he thought Hunter was more like Bellows and now realizes he's not. He's a better person. He believes that Hunter should have connections outside the castle, i.e. he thinks that Hunter has the potential to learn to care about people. Even pointing out the talisman suggests that that's him recognizing that if Hunter values something that he knows his uncle will have a problem with, he just won't tell his uncle about it. Therefore, Darius is safe to start mentoring this kid by exposing him to the world and the people in it. That he won't be found out as he is helping Hunter become this better guy. And the reason why, the main reason why I think that this is probably the case, that Darius is probably a good guy, is because I think I know the event that led to him and Rhaen realizing they were on the same page about this rebellion thing. Darius was obviously one of the people who captured Rhaen back when they were actively rebelling, something that Bellows couldn't have because he needs all of his coven heads seemingly just geographically close to him for the Day of Unity to work. And yet, even though Rhaen was very clearly caught within Darius's abomination, the moment that Darius turns his back, even though Rhaen is disarmed, they are suddenly somehow able to get away. Darius is going off on one of his pretentious monologues again. It distracts, wasn't Eberwolf who's with him, I think? I don't remember exactly, but it's beside the point. He distracts the other coven head who was with him, and as that distraction happens, Rhaen is able to escape. And the fandom seems to think that Darius might have let them escape and just pretended like it was something beyond his control. And I think Rhaen, as talented as they are, would have realized that too. And then come to Darius later and said, hey man, what's up? What's the deal with this? And then it would have been Darius who gave Rhaen the idea to pretend like they are in the Emperor's pocket so that they can keep their enemies close. If this is all true, then we've got like a Uncle Iroh by way of Game of Thrones, or, the early Game of Thrones kind of thing going on here. And that's super fascinating. It means that the political side of the story may have been more detailed this entire time than we ever realized it was. And I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right, at least on some level, because can you imagine how fascinating it'll be to see all of this revealed and to see how it all fit together post-reveal? If the actuality of this is even half as interesting as it's implied to be, it's going to make for some fantastic intrigue. And it also lays a clear path for how this world might move forward and what Hunter's role in it might be, which is something we could only really guess at up to this point. And it's all because Hunter made connections enough with a small group of kids that he made the choice to stand up for them, a thing which Darius seemingly respects, possibly because there are people that he is fighting to protect too. The question is, though, is there even anything that can be done to stop Belos at this point? Are any of these efforts actually worth anything? Like the stuff with Hunter, maybe, because Hunter is definitely a part of whatever Belos' plan is, and maybe if Hunter changes enough prior to that, he'll be able to do something. But I mean specifically the implied internal machinations that Darius and Rhaene seem to be spearheading right now. Do they even matter? Because Belos seems to know everything that's going on in his realm. And I imagine that means he would know about this stuff too, and he just doesn't care. And if that's the case, then I don't see any reason as an audience member to expect that their efforts will actually amount to anything. Like I mentioned earlier, it's possible that he just needs the Coven heads to be geographically near enough to him when the Day of Unity comes for him to draw upon their power. And if that's the case, then allowing them to conspire against him within his own castle, so that they'll try to act against him from within his own castle when the day comes, that would still serve his purpose. Just, like, none of that was really 100% necessary to throw in with this theory, but, a little bonus theory there for you at the end. None of Rhaene and Darius's efforts are going to mean anything. It's bleak, but probably true. All of that said, guys, what do you think of any of the ideas that I put forth in this video? Do you agree that Darius is Hunter's Iroh? If not, and you agree with me that he's probably not a bad guy, then what role do you think he serves in this story? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, you might as well like the video, share it with anyone else who think would enjoy my content, subscribe. If you haven't, you can also check out links to my various social medias, and, maybe head over to my channel and find the Owl House review from earlier today if you haven't seen it yet, because you might not, because of the way subscriptions work, because 2 videos. Assuming that this video goes out on the same day. It still might not. Who knows? Either way, though, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.